broadcasting live from an undisclosed location in the universe. Welcome to Iggy Garcia Live, the show where metaphysics, holistic living, motivation, and inspiration come together to empower your mind, body, and soul. We will dive deep into the realms of metaphysical wisdom, exploring the fascinating connections between mind and matter. Get ready to ignite your inner spark and embrace a journey of self-discovery. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
What's up, everybody? What's up? Good evening, actually, and good evening on the other side of the world, and good morning on this side of the world. So I hope you were able to stay with us for a little bit here as we're going to talk a little bit about the past 5.5 years. Where are you? What happened? What shifted? It's a topic that we knew at one point we'll have to address and talk. But before we start our show, we're always going to light a candle, give thanks to the ancestors, so we can remember them and honor them for all they do for us. Creamy vanilla sandalwood is from our friend Mary. She makes these. So we want to give thanks to the ancestors. We want to give thanks to the Creator. Give thanks to Pachamama. Give thanks to all the things seen and unseen that hold space for us to protect us. This is super important to remember those who have passed and transitioned into the next part of existence. So right now I give thanks to my mom and dad, my brothers, my sisters who are still with me, and to my sister and my nephew who have also transitioned as well. I honor them and remember them today because, people can be forgotten over time. So we'll light this candle during the show. Of course, we'll light the ceremonial sage. There we go. Let that burn for a while. Let that burn over there for a little bit. Let's let itself put itself out. So we are here today, and we're grateful to be here today. It's good to be here today. For those of you who follow me and check my other podcasts out, that's a saying that I say in remembrance and reverence to remember everybody and all those who we love and care about, because it's so easy to forget about people once they've transitioned, once they've gone on, unless you have some type of remembrance or some type of gardening or some type of statue or anything that just pictures or whatever to remember. I'm not saying we all do that we all forget, but a lot of people are forgotten through time. Intentionally, unintentionally, doesn't matter. It's just the fact that it does happen. It does happen a lot more than we let on. So I'm here to talk about, what you want to talk about, whatever's on your mind. But I really want to talk about the last 5.5 years. I remember just back in going into from 2019 on to 2020. I remember becoming really, sick, but I didn't realize anything, and I got through it. But I'll never forget that the chest pains and all the things that I had, and I took myself to the emergency room, and I found there was nothing wrong with me. It was weird. They took blood tests. Nothing was wrong. There was nothing wrong with my heart. Everything was good. But, just over a course of time, just move on. And then all of a sudden, you hear about this thing that's happening, this pandemic that's been released out into the world and the things that have happened. And, and I think about my mom. She died in, February 27th and 2018. And I remember my dad, he died on the 1st of January 10th of 19, like 10 months apart from each other. And I remember, thinking, now that I have time to reflect, if they would have made it through COVID, through the COVID's time, and through all this pandemic on this thing, and I miss them a lot. I miss them dearly. But I'm here, and I'm thinking, wow, 5.5 years have gone by since we've been in this situation, in this thing that we call, just lockdowns, misinformation. And that my sister, she took her life in December 1st of 21, and then my nephew was I think a year after that in November, I believe. And the sad part is everybody dealt with this so differently, and dealt with this transition and these feelings, these emotions, and how things worked. And I just saw so much confusion in this time. And quite honestly, I don't even know. I go back and I think about it. I'm like, there's really nothing that anybody could have really done, really, as much as preparation as you can or can't have. It didn't matter what administration was in there. It didn't matter. It was one of those things that just happened so quickly and so fast, and evolved so rapidly, and the media just took over and ran with it and just made it. I don't know if it made it worse or better. I can't really reflect back and think about that sometimes and go, were we better off knowing or not knowing? It affected everybody so different. So many people, nothing happened. There was no effect, no nothing. But I'll tell you, the year after my sister passed, she took her life, she passed, my immune system dropped, like, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Everything about me just totally just went down the toilet in that moment. And I remember just starting to feel, a little drained. And then I remember having, these feelings, these emotions that I couldn't explain. And I remember we were kind of like in the thick of it. We're like, we're all tired of this and blah blah blah, and this is in 2022. Those 20 and 21, nothing. I was fine. Never had an issue. Never ran into anything. I stayed in my lane, like most of us. Then I realized that the thing that happened to my sister, affected me spiritually, physically, and emotionally. And she's my little kid sister that came with me from Peru when we immigrated here. We came here on TWA. If those are Trans World Airlines, if I think that's what it's called, Transatlantic World Airlines, TWA. So if those of you who remember TWA, that was actually a pretty cool airline, because I had a toy plane that I had when I came to America with that. But my immune system dropped, and then I had like a New Year's Eve party, trying to like gather myself and try to get myself back into these feelings. Excuse me, these feelings and these emotions about where I was and what was going on in my life. And there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people, and then there was a lot of sick kids. And now for me, I don't know about you, but for me, when I see little kids when they're running noses and stuff, I'm like, I kind of turn the other way. I don't engage them. I try to stay away from them because they're just little petri dishes, I call them. I don't know if you feel like that, but I feel like that sometimes when I see little kids. I don't know. They may not get affected as much as adults. But the thing was, it was a weird time. It was a weird time. There was a lot happening. There was a lot asked of us, and there was a lot of, separation. There was a lot of fighting and miscommunication, and fear was the biggest part. You may sit here and say there was no fear. Oh, it wasn't fearful. There was fear. There was a lot of fear from people because they didn't understand, and they wanted to. You know how whenever there's fear, we want to put it on something or someone or something. We want to put it onto a situation that separates us and gives us a sense of security, a sense of an answer. And there was so much rampant and misinformation and no information, and nobody knew anything. Quite frankly, you know, it was a time where everybody was just kind of had to figure out what was best for you in that time. What was best for you? What were you going to do? As we locked down, we were in a certain situation where we couldn't communicate and talk with each other. We were separated by situations. Our phones were our kind of like outlet to the world. For a lot of people, they don't believe this thing actually was real. Some people believe it was, and some don't. I kind of mixed emotions because I ended up getting really ill, and I can't say it was the flu because it was completely different, the feelings and emotions of the flu. But I do remember getting just very weak. And then all of a sudden, when I was in bed, I was just drenched like someone had splashed water on me. Like they had taken a bucket and just splashed me. And I was like, what the heck is this? And then I ended up going back. This is in 22. And then I ended up going back to bed after I took the first shower because I was like, okay, maybe I'm just, whatever. And it wasn't later, and I was drenched again. And then all of a sudden, I felt like this contortions of my muscle, like inside my organs, felt like they were being twisted, like they were being turned. I just felt like, oh my God, what is that? I could not figure out what was happening to me. I was like, is this really happening? And then I finally just had to meditate and slow down and just get my mind. And next thing you know, I was like really, really weak. I had my breath, and I had asthma too. So my asthma kicked in, and I wasn't really taking care of myself too well in those days either. So I let myself go because of just the loss and the grief of my mom, my dad, and my sister, that had happened. There was just a lot to carry. That was a lot to process. And we all process differently. Some of us are screaming and yelling and, expressing. I was like more internalized all that stuff with occasional crying and releasing, letting go. And I just remember just becoming so frail and weak. And, I remember being in the dining room, and our friend Amber lived with us at the time. And then I told Susie, can you open the doors? Can you turn on the fan? Because like it smells really bad in here. It smells like rotten meat, like rotten fish, like not fish, but like bad meat, like there was rotting, something was like dying. And I'm in this room and I'm going, what the heck is that smell? Nobody else could smell it. Nobody else could, imagine what I was smelling. But it was like weird. I'm like, went outside and sat down with my dog, and I took a couple selfies with my dog. My dog knew more about what's happening to me than the adults in the house, because they didn't. No judgment against them. They were going through some things, and that was just kind of the things that was happening. And so I remember being just so totally wiped out. And, I told Susie, you guys don't smell that. It smells like like it's rotten, just open the doors because I got to get that smell out. And, now I can reflect back, and I was like, man, and I've said this before, I felt like death was visiting me. Like, death was like, we're getting ready to cross over, dude. You need to take care of yourself, or you need to, get ready to go. I felt like that. So, I'm just telling you the story because this is my 5 years, right? And sometimes I don't, as we're hosts on these shows, we don't get to express what happened to us in those moments. But I remember Susie, calling the doctor, and, because we really couldn't go to the doctor. And the doctor said, like, okay, well, you need, go, we'll find you a room and blah, blah, blah. And, by that time, my mind was sharp, but my body was starting to like slow down. Like I could feel the slowdown in my body in that time. I could feel my legs were giving out. And then I finally got to the ER. I told you I'm going to the ER. Just take me to the ER. And there was a lot of people there. But I remember going in, and I remember talking to them. And I said, put my mask down. I said, hey, I don't know what's going on, but, I have these symptoms, and I don't know where I'm at. Kind of like I didn't know where I was at. Like my brain was like starting to like, and then I sat there, it was probably 15, 20 minutes, maybe less. And there was a lot of people in the emergency room. And then they came in, they grabbed me, and they took me. because I think they asked me for my address, I didn't give the right address, even though they had my information. So they took me and they said, can you walk? And I couldn't really walk. I was really, really weak. I couldn't walk. I finally made it to the table. They took my vitals. They got me into a room. It's not really a room. If you know anything about emergency rooms, they're not necessarily there to treat you. They're there preventative. They don't have everything they usually need. And this is one of those ones that are outside. This was one of those, not in the hospital. And then they jack you up with, steroids, right? To like raise your blood pressure, get a little more dopamine in your body. And I was feeling good. And then they put the saline solution in me. And they they made sure that I had that all taken care of. And then I was feeling better. I feel like I was getting a little more cognitively connected. And I'm going to speed up a little bit because my doctor at the emergency room calls me. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? How you feeling?" I'm feeling good. They go, "We're going to get you a ventilator, like a traveling oxygen tank machine." So they got me a machine. But then I was like, I asked this question. So what's next? What do we do next? He's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, is there anything you do for me?" Like, there's nothing we can do. There's no guarantee the vaccine will help you. You can't take the vaccine right now because you're already sick. It's pointless. You just kind of have to fight through it and wish for the best. In that moment is when you go, what the hell? What is going on? Is this really happening? Is this really how I go out just like this? Like there's no cure. There was no cure. There's no cure. Whatever they tell you, the doctor made it pretty clear to me in that moment that there was no cure. And that's when I realized there is no cure for this thing. There never has been, never will be, because the doctor, he expressed it. And you know what? Every doctor I saw after that told me pretty much the same damn thing. Everything was experimental. Everything was just being tested. And we hope the best. Finally got home. I had my tank, my little machine, temporary until they got me the bigger one. And then they told me, you have a place where you can go and you can get antibodies they figured the antibodies might help. And then, I waited like a good person, I waited. And my wife's like, "Have they called you?" And I'm like, "No one's called me. I'm just waiting. I'm sure they'll call me." Well, she called and she's like, "Well, I'm not waiting to call because you know what? This is kind of strange they don't call you." She calls and she's like, "My husband, blah, blah, blah. He needs the antibodies." And I'm like, "Well, there are no antibodies. It's too late." She's like, "Why didn't you call? Well, we have too many people." And pretty much they just ignored her. And then, we called our doctor and I said, "Hey, I want to go to this hospital, whatever." And by that time I was getting really bad, like really worse. And then finally our doctor calls. He's like, "We have a room for you at the hospital that you requested." And then I remember going there. Susie took me. And the next thing I know, she takes me to the hospital. And then we get there. Of course, the police they're the ones guarding the entrance. And then I was just so tired, so weak and tired. And and the sad part was they didn't give crap in that moment because they didn't even give me a wheelchair. My wife had to run back and get a wheelchair because I was carrying a tank of oxygen to get me to my room. And she got me like this transport wheelchair. It's kind of like smaller, and God bless my wife, man, because she's badass. She wanted to make sure that I was going to be around, and I'm still here because of her. Because if it wasn't her, and if I left things in my own hand, I wouldn't be having this conversation. So I'm grateful for her. I want to make that very clear. Number two, she got me to the room. We were on the 4th floor. Very ominous, and everybody's just in these suits. They're all like suited up. It was like a hazmat area, and basically that's what it was. And then I could just sense that this was like a really weird place to be. Was I lucky to be in a hospital, not in a hospital? I'm going to say yes. So they took me and they had her wait outside. She was there temporarily. I take that back. The doctors came in. All these barrage of doctors and nurses came in. Oh, we need to get him on a ventilator right now, ASAP. How much oxygen is he taking? He's taking 25 pounds of whatever oxygen. It's taking a lot. And they're like, we need to get him down to 7, And I'm like, this one lady, I don't know, bless her soul. I mean, I'm sure she's saved 1 or 2. We need to get you on a ventilator, like right now. And I'm like, the heck, you're not putting me on a ventilator? I said exactly what I said. Listen, I come for treatment, but you're not going to put me in a ventilator. It was instinctive. It wasn't like I read anything about it, or I just know, just because of the work I do, is that when you put on a crutch to help you, and then it becomes a crutch. You put something on to help you survive, something breathing for you, then your body relies on that breathing mechanism. Your body relies on certain things to keep you healthy, keep you alive. So I wasn't going to do that. She's like, well, you have to. I said, listen, this is my body. This is my choice. And right now, my choice is I'm going to take my chances, which is breathing from this oxygen machine that you guys have hooked up, not the ventilator, because I'm not doing that. I'm not doing the ventilator. My wife's like, you sure? I'm like, I don't want it, Susie. I don't want it. I know what it did to your dad. I remember your dad when they put him on a ventilator. This is years ago, and it forced oxygen into him more than he probably needed. So my journey was that, I'm going to kind of speed up a little bit and kind of cut corners here, but I made it my mission to honor everybody who was in that room, everybody who was, taking care of me. Take a little water here. I give thanks to everybody who walked through the door. I didn't care if it was a janitor. I didn't care if it was a person bringing me my food. I just said thank you to everybody. I was in gratitude. No matter what happened to me, whatever I was going to go through, I was just in gratitude and was just thankful to every person who walked through my door. And everybody was grateful back. And the stories I learned from everybody, and those nurses. I mean, I've heard bad raps about the nurses and stuff, but no, my nurses were great. My nurses took care of me. They made sure. They even told me they had COVID before, and they had been sick, and they had been fighting it, and they were all, and still they went out of their way to help people. Now, there might be some bad apples and bad situations, and I get that. But in my case, there was not. It was not. And maybe it's because of my attitude. Maybe because I was like, I'm getting out of here. I don't know how I'm doing it. I prayed. I give thanks. But I'll tell you, I never had that moment where I thought, God was going to present himself. But you know what? I realized now that I'm back, and I was waiting to, maybe have an aha moment. The whole damn time was an aha moment. My wife bathing me because I couldn't bathe myself was an aha moment. The nurses coming in was an aha moment. The doctor coming in and being real with me about my lungs. He said, my lungs, these are my lungs. And down here, these are these like little, like roots in the trees. These portions down here, they're all dead. They're all gone. No longer, no more. These have all been, they're destroyed. But you still have all the other lungs, the other part of your lungs. And that's what we're going to work on. So they didn't give me like a COVID shot or anything. They weren't going to do that because number one, I didn't want it. Number two, they gave me an experimental antibody specifically for the lungs. It was like, this has been around forever and has been designed to help with the lungs. So they gave me that, and they inserted that into an IV, and I received it. And did it help? Was it real? Was that the thing that saved me? I don't know. I think it was a combination of everything: the doctors, the nurses, my wife, the janitor, the food, the possibilities. It was all came into this play, into this great, amazing mix of things. And then I can see my oxygen started coming down. I was like, great, that's awesome. I had a lot of time to think about stuff, and you think you would think about things and you would say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I didn't make any promises. I just said, you know what? I'm going to be here in this moment right now where I'm at, because this is all I can physically, spiritually, emotionally control or have any connection to. Can't really think about projecting forward right now. And then, I remember towards the end, like 7 days, it was kind of cloudy and gloomy. And then the sun shined. The sun was shining through the window and it was really bright. I got up, I had my tether with my oxygen, and I walked over there. And I looked out that window and I'm like, you know, the sun comes up every day, goes down every day. It cycles through, and every day it's different. Doesn't matter. It's still the same sun, but every day is different. A cloud could be in front of it. It could be behind clouds. It could be on the most brightest blue day. So every moment the sun is present. And I'm thinking, I got to be like the sun. I just have to be present. I just have to prepare myself and be grateful and thank you for this moment. Because what else do I have? What else can I do? And then I was just like, it's time to go home. Everybody clapped, like they see in the videos. Everybody clapped for me, gave me thanks. I asked them how many people gotten out of these rooms. I'm sure they're not supposed to tell you. She says only 2 of you got out and went home. But there's a lot to the story, and I don't want to take too much time on that because I'm just sharing the last 5.5 years, right, where we're at. That's a little bit shorter time period, but then you had to simulate at home. You had to readjust and take oxygen and just heal. And then my healing process began, and then the long COVID came. That's what they call it now, right? That was the worst part. Because even when I was sick, I had like mobility, I had strength, I had a little bit. I was doing better. But when the long COVID came, I really had to fight through that. I really had to fight using my arms, my legs, and all the things that were vitally important for, to be a human being on this planet. And I sit here and I drift off sometimes thinking about my friends who died while I was in the hospital. A lot of friends of mine passed away from COVID or potential COVID, whatever we want to call it. And you come home and you're just like, what happens next? Where do we go from here? Part of me was like, kind of still in shock that I even got sick. For 2 years, nothing had happened to me. And it just took that one moment, one day. I know that in the vast of population thinking about how people died, it's a smaller number than we think. I know a million something. But when you have 350 million people in this country, the statistically, I think the flu killed more people, they say. Don't quote me on that, but you can do a fact check on that. But still, it was one of those things we couldn't control, right? We couldn't, right, sustain it. It was a wild time. And getting back to any sense of my body, it took me a year and a half, 2 years maybe, to even feel remotely good. Now I'm like in a whole different set of things that I'm working on, right? But back then I had to drum and move through the things and do the things I did and act like nothing was happening to me. Pretend like I was well. Not pretend, but, just not necessarily, act like I wasn't sick. It was just my body just recouping, getting back my body. And to this day, I don't even think I've got my total body back that I had back then. I want to believe that I have, but there are just too many things that happen. But now I want to get into this other part. 5.5 years later, my mom, my dad, my sister, and my nephew, they're all gone. So now I'm like, the aftermath that we see. Some of you will blame administrations. Some of you will blame doctors. Some of you will blame whoever you need to blame. I'm not here to blame anybody. I'm just really saddened at how the events tore apart friends and family and created this dysfunction, this separation with people. You may agree or disagree with me, but this is my projection. This is my thoughts. We run with the information we have. We run with the information we believe. We want to trust science. We want to trust God. We want to trust our faith. But yet we don't have enough trust in other people to say, hey, you know what? I took the vaccine. I didn't take the vaccine. Why didn't you take the vaccine? You shouldn't be around me because you killed the vaccine. Yeah, those are the choices you made. Maybe relationships weren't as strong as they thought they were going to be, or they were. Maybe the relationships you created before the pandemic weren't as strong as they were going to be. But I'm going to say this, and some of you will or not will like it or not like it at all. But you and I only ran with the information we had in that moment, in that present time, and you made your judgments according to those informations and those things and those theories, those ideas, what was present in front of us, what we witnessed, what we didn't witness. Some of us didn't even witness anything. Some of us didn't even get sick. Some of us got sick. But regardless, we all made our choices. We all made our decisions in that time. We all decided what we're going to do, to protect our own selves and the people we love, the families we love. Excuse me. But yet, we also made the decisions to cut people off with the information we had. And you know, the sad part about it is, with the information we have today about what we know, what happened, what's going on, we still hold on to these grudges against people and hate people for the situations they put us in. Now, this is your choice. You can do whatever you want. I don't care, because you're going to make the decision for yourself. But there are people out there that you loved and you cared about, and you totally cut them off, and they cut you off, vice versa, because of information, right or wrong. And we still don't know if the information that we've been given is correct. You can sit here and tell me, oh, it's proven, blah. All kinds of things have been proven and disproven. You know, you can blame Trump, you can blame Biden, you can blame whoever you want, you can blame Fauci, whatever. You can blame the World Health Organization, you can blame whatever you want. I want to tell you something. In the end, everybody was trying to survive. Everybody was trying to do the things that they needed to do, right? They wanted to be well. They wanted to sustain themselves and fight through this. But we learned a lot about people, what they will do or not do in certain situations. Self-preservation is valid. Self-preservation was huge. It didn't matter if it was your brother, your sister. It didn't matter if it was your cousin, your friend. It didn't matter if it was your next door neighbor, your child or not, your niece or nephew. Self-preservation kicked in. And it had its factions and it had its sides. And it made its choices and it made its decisions. Just like today. And everything is information, misinformation, disinformation. What's fed to us by spin doctors. You know, life's not hard, man. Life becomes hard when we aren't educated enough or willing enough to learn or disseminate and reorganize and recalculate something, you know? None of us were doctors. We relied on the doctors, and then all of a sudden we got a bunch of emails, we got a bunch of, underground resistors, as we call them, or who people call them, or just human beings trying to say, hey, there is options, there are other ways to tend to this. If you want to tend to this, This is what we need to do. Now, were they right? Were they wrong? Did it work? There's no study. There will never be a study, I'm pretty sure, that says, oh, yeah, if you would have done this, you would have sustained yourself this. Because that's not where it's at. These big companies, these huge companies, they have cures. They have it. But with cures, you don't make money with cures. You make money with sustaining people in a sick state of mind. If you can regulate somebody's blood pressure, you can regulate somebody's heart, you can regulate, or maintain somebody alive, that means they have it. That's your first clue. That's your first marker to know, oh, if you take this, you'll be fine. But what happens? What happens with these big companies? I'm not even going to say their name because this probably will be shut down. What happens? Like my little terrarium here, right? My little plant. We'll just use this as an example. You see my little plants in there. This plant heals. We'll say it's a healing plant. It heals in its own way. But this little plant right here, they take the components out of it that they think that will help and will maintain and sustain. What they don't tell you is if they take the whole plant, they just might be able to make you better. I'm really cautious about my wording here. You have to read through between the lines what I'm trying to say. There was a movie, and I've talked about this on my show before, and I think Sean Connery was in it, and he was in the jungle, and it was the cure. They were looking for the cure. They're looking for the answer, right? So they find this patch of like growing plants, and they scoop it up, with everything, with ants and everything. And then I was like, they tested it, and they're like, they had all the markers and all the things that would help. They got more plants, but this time there was no ants. They tried to get the markers back, and they wouldn't follow back. They couldn't understand what was going on. And this is how I look at science sometimes. Yeah, they do the scientific method, and they try to see if it can recreate it. But sometimes scientists are so ego-driven, and they're so want to make whatever medicine they make and name it for themselves, or maybe they do want to help people. Maybe they do. I don't know. But in this movie, it was a valuable lesson. The components of the ants and the plants is what made it work. It wasn't just the plant. The active ingredient was the ant coming into contact with the plant and being mixed together, and that's what caused the healing component to work. And nobody could figure that out. Nobody even figured that out through the whole movie. No one could understand. It's like when you do plant medicine, ayahuasca. You have the vine, you have the plant. Without one or the other, they don't work. You don't get the the DMT release in your mind. You don't get that stuff that you need so you can see the things that you need to work on. Those visions you need. It's the same thing. It's like whole plant medicine is whole plant medicine. It's not just whatever we want to take from it. But science is smart, and they know what they're doing, and they know how to keep themselves in the business. And so regardless of what you think or don't think, we keep it in business. And we do the best we can with the information we have, disseminating it, recreating it, revamping it. But I'm here to say one thing. The people that we've let go of because we made a decision in that moment in time, it might be time to reflect back and look back at those people, where they were and the kind of fears they were feeling versus saying, hey, no, this is the way. Because I know for sure there are people who are saddened and broken because of the way people cut people off. People, we need each other to some degree. And if there are people that you let go of because, it has to be this way because they don't want to, and you want to live in that arrogance and that ego-driven mind, that you can't go back and say, hey, we made it through 5.5 freaking years. Where are you doing? How are you doing? I made the choices I made because that's all I had. But no, we're too proud. Many of us are just too damn proud to sit there and say, I made a mistake. I made an error judging you according to this. I'm sorry that you decided to go this way or that way politically. I'm sorry that you decided to go this way with the agenda in the belief because I believe in science or I don't believe in science. But there's all kinds of science when we put our mind to it. Science isn't just a laboratory where you just mix chemicals and you put in stuff and things blow up or don't blow up. Science is also being in the world and being in life and observing how Mother Nature creates and procreates and maintains life. Everybody's different. So if you hated on somebody for the thing, or you didn't agree with that thing, or you didn't want to take the jab, or you did take the jab, it's 5.5 years now. Where are you? Are you better without these people? If you are, then great. If you're not, and you still miss them, and you still want to reconnect them, reach out. Nobody else is going to tell you any of this stuff because everybody's too afraid to be canceled. Everybody's too afraid to be told, you're wrong. You know what? We're human beings, and we only have a short, limited time on this planet. If you make it to 60, 70, man, great. If you don't, I'm sorry. If you make it to 90, some people only make it to 50. And we're just blowing people off because we made decisions that we thought we had to make. We had to make these decisions. Oh, you have to save me. You know what? If you're alive, thank your creator. Thank your ancestors. Thank Mother Nature. And if you want to thank the pills, then thank the damn pills. And if you're alive because you didn't take the jab and you're grateful, then thank the creator. Thank your ancestors. Thank the supplements that you take. Thank the plants that are made from that. Because everything has been made from Mother Nature. Every component, anything you put into your body is from Mother Nature. Not from some foreign planet off world. Everything's concocted and made from here. So it's all Mother Nature. But do we bless our food? Do you bless your vitamins? Do you bless before you get injected, do you give a blessing? No, because we don't. We're not taught that anymore. All that's been removed from our life. But indigenous people, native peoples, they're grateful and they're thankful for the things that, are in our lives. But we're so removed from everything. You can be atheist or whatever. You can still be thankful. You could be a godly person and be thankful. This thing that we have to just totally separate ourselves from each other because we can't come to an agreement or because we think different, that we can't coexist. And this is what we have. This is why the world is the way it is. You have group A and you have group B. Group B likes things about A. Group A likes certain things about group B. But group B doesn't like A because A resonates in this energy field and these belief systems. And group B resonates in this energy field and these systems. If they cross and they commingle, there's something wrong with that. Absolutely. I cannot be friends with A because A is not in my field of reference and points of belief systems. And vice versa, it's the same way. Come on. It's good to have friends on the other side. It's good to have friends on the other side. It's good to have people who challenge you. It's good to be challenged and think about things. If you're an absolutist, and that's the way it is, then that's what you're going to get. Absolutist stuff. And if you're just think about that. But nobody thinks about that. Nobody thinks about now. Everybody's projecting, in the past I was hurt so bad. In the future I don't want to be hurt no more. Shit, you know how many things hurt me and you and almost everybody on this podcast? And we're still here and we're in the freaking moment. And you have everybody over here screaming one thing and you have another group over here screaming one thing. Can it be right for them? Is that a belief that they can write? Sure. Absolutely. But this hate and this hatred that we've created, and this was all created during this episode of 5.5 years ago. 5, 4, 3. All that has been created for us to separate each other. And you know what? Is it control? I don't know. Is it something where they want to manipulate the system, manipulate you? I don't know. They don't need to do that. They already do that now. You go to the store, you buy what they tell you to buy. You go to the gas station, you buy petroleum. You buy an electric car, you plug it in, in your house or at a station. They're already controlling you. Control has been happening since the day this country was founded, and even before that. We're lucky that we made it as far as we have. We will go against all norms. But 5.5 years ago, it was a nightmare because no one knew nothing. And you know what? It's okay. But we're here now. We know something now. We know. And this is my point. We know now. We know better now. We know that the next time or if any time something like this happens, we're pretty fortunate because we've had pandemics in this country for many times. Nothing new. Europe has had pandemics over its course of its existence. And those people survived. You're here because 1,000 people made it. 1,000 people made it to get you to this point, and your brothers and sisters. So think about that. 1,000 people. It took 1,000 people just to help make you and me. Anytime along that timeline and they got killed, we would not exist. We wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be here. There would be no us. Like this guy, and don't like this guy, and don't like this policy, don't like, this organization. That's for you to decide. I'm talking about reunification of friends and family. Things where, you know what, you didn't have the right information. 2, they didn't have the right information, or both of you thought you had the right information. But yet, because someone said, I'm going to do this, and you go one way. And this happened on both sides. This wasn't just one-sided. Everybody just went, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who cares? We're here. We're here. Where do you go from here? Where are you going to be in the next 5 years? You ask yourself that question? Are you still have the rants and the rages and the minds about what's happening in this world? Or are you just going to live in this world? No matter who's in office, it doesn't matter, man. They're always going to do the things they do. They're always going to manipulate the things they manipulate. What resists persists. So whatever you put your attention to, whatever you think is real, you're going to get more of that. You believe that something's going to happen and nothing's going to happen, you're going to get more of that. You're going to get more of that. That's it. That's just how it works. There's no like, if I don't say anything, then nothing happens. You know what? You can say all you want. Where did it get us in the last 5.5 years? Really, honestly, truthfully. Some of us are better for it. A lot of people made a lot of money in the last 5.5 years. A lot of people went broke in the last 5.5 years. And then they just throw us a bone, and you know what? We get thrown a bone, and you should be okay, Iggy. You should be okay. I threw you a bone. You should be all right. Enjoy your bone, okay? And when you're done, maybe we'll throw you another bone. But I know where I'm at right now is the only thing that I can actually sustain and be in. Sure, there's a lot of things happening in the world. Sure, there's a lot going on. I'm not going to pretend like nothing's happening. And voices have to be raised. I get that. But we can't fix the world. Can't fix the world if we can't fix our world. We can't go out there and say, hey, you're doing wrong. You're over here doing the same damn thing. With your prejudice, your feelings, your emotions, your vices, your addictions, When you look the other way and you see a homeless person, when you try to support something and you misinterpret it. Nothing's free, friends. Nothing. Because somewhere from someplace, somebody has given in order for that to work. There has to be an energy exchange. Free meals, it's coming from somebody. Free ride, it's coming from somebody. Somebody's giving. Nothing is free. Zero. Those of you who are really religious, nothing is free. You understand that? And those of you who have jobs, you know nothing is free. You know, even if you have to go to the food pantry, nothing is free. That whole system is designed to feed and help people. Nothing's free. But what's free? What is really free? Walking out your door, sitting in the grass, hugging a damn tree, you know? Energy exchange, you know? Nature just is nature. And it's free from those encumbrances, those restrictions. You build a fence, a tree will grow through a fence and incorporate it into its system. You know, a tree will uproot a driveway. The universe hates a void. So if there's a patch of grass missing, it will grow whatever it needs to grow there. And the same way with us. When we create voids inside of us, inside of our system, the universe hates a void. And what does it do? It just brings what's naturally flows to you. It could be seen as good, it could be perceived as bad, but it will fill that space. It will fill that hole in you. Now, if you choose to go out and you reach out to your friends and family, say, hey, you know what? We know things are different now. We understand. And I just be honest. They say, I apologize. I have. People have come to me and apologized and say, you know what? I was wrong putting you in this box because of your thoughts and your beliefs of what happened 3, 4, 5 years ago, you know? But you still have choice. You have choice to say yes or no. You can say yes or no. And that's up to you. You'll have to make that decision for yourself. I can't make it for you. Nobody can. But ask yourself today, strong question. Write it down on paper. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? 5.5 years. You already saw yourself the last 5 years and all the things we went through and all the things we had to go through. We were kind of pushed into that. Now you have a clean slate. Where are you? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to see? What do you want to see? What do you want to be involved with? How would you like, and this is for you, not for government, not for organizations and things that are leeching off of you. No, I'm talking about you personally, you. As I point at you, what do you want for you today? Like, what would make you feel good today? And it can be big or small. It doesn't matter. Oh, I want an ice cream. All right, cool. Go get an ice cream. Oh, but my blood sugar is, well, then you have to make choices for yourself. Make decisions for you too, because when you make the right decisions for you, it affects the people around you. When you make no decision, in the sense of, like, I'm just going to sit in my basement and huddle in here and coddle in here and avoid, connection. Humans need connection. We need connection. We need high fives. We need hugs. We need fist pumps. We need to dance. We need to sing. We need to drum. We need to do all those things that bring us together. And today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to drum today. We're going to drum today at Schiller Park at 4 p.m. We're going to go down there and we're going to do what we do. We're going to have a great time. We're going to be in that moment. We're not going to be distracted from political pandemics, nothing. The worries of the world. The world has to take care of itself too, as we do. All my brothers and sisters, the 7.5 billion people, got to step up and create dreams and ideas and beliefs that help manifest the world in a better place. But a lot of us are manipulated, controlled, and allowed to be controlled and don't even know we're being controlled and don't even know we're feeling a certain way. And then it's too late. Because the day you lay on your deathbed, the day you're there, you're not going to go there and go, oh, I'm glad I made all that money. I'm glad I bought all those buildings. No, you're going to go, damn, I wish I would have asked that girl out. Damn, I wish I would have asked that guy out. I wish I would have gone to that party and danced. I wish I would have hugged my kids one more time. I wish I wish I would have done something. I wish I wouldn't have stayed silent. I'm here alone. Nobody's here around my bed except the doctors and nurses. You want to go out? Not me. I don't know how I'm going to go out. It's neither here or important, but I just know people don't just lay there and go, man, I fucked up. I wish I'd have done more. You're here. If you can see this video and you're watching me, you can do more. It's good to be here. You can create, procreate, manifest, lay the seeds of manifestation. But you got to do the work. You got to do the work. You got to get up and you got to move and you got to go. And if you can't do it, share your idea with somebody else. Hey, what do you think about this? Can you create this for me? Or can you create this for the world? There are so many people out there with, as soon as you think something up, there's nothing new under the sun, like they say, right? It just has to be uncorked. Did I start drum circles? No, man. But I did start one thing. I took my drum circle, made it the way I wanted to make it so other people can see the beauty and the love that I have for drumming. I wrote my book the way I wanted to write my book. Not like everybody else. Yeah, there's somebody else invented a phone. Somebody invented a phone, right? Cell phone we're looking at right here. Oh, this computer. And then somebody else said, well, we'll make it better. That's life. If you're living a life, make it better. Make it better. You sit here, we sit here, and we ponder and we wait for the right situation to come. And how do you even know when the right situation comes? How do you know? Oh, I know when I know. Yeah, 20 years later, sometimes we have to step into the waters, get our feet wet. Sometimes we have to get burned a little bit to kind of feel what's happening. Sometimes we get conked on the head and we're like, oh yeah, and we have an epiphany. But so many of us worry about the things that we can't control. Oh, you got a pope. He's from Peru. We got a pope from America. We got Trump. We got Biden. We got this guy. We have this situation in the world. Yeah, things suck. Things happen. The world's not a nice place. It's very cruel and very decisive and very deceptive because there are people like that and they take advantage of it because they do it because you know what? That's their goal and that's their dream. That's their desire and that's their wish to see the world. And we sit there and we go, no, if you had the same drive they have, none of this would happen. The world would be such a different place. The world would be such an amazing place if we made the decisions to live, the decisions not to fight, but to live. Anybody can fight. Anybody can slur a word. Anybody can punch somebody. Anybody can hurt someone. But to live and to be in that moment and to share your feelings, emotions, and create these pockets of love, these pockets of emotion and peace. You want peace? Then be peace. Peace begins with me. That's one of the oldest sayings. Peace doesn't begin after the war is over. Peace begins with you. You start peace. Your body goes into that place, in that feeling, in that emotion. You want peace? Then focus on peace. You don't want wars? Then don't focus on wars. The thing you focus on creates more of it. Create on the things that you can do. You want to feed the world? Then feed the world. You want to rescue kids? Then you rescue them. But all this negative stuff that when we bombard onto it, we just make more of it. It's frequency, is law of attraction. It's the most basic knowledge thing, but we don't know that. We don't know that because we've been told, oh no, it's this way. No, things are not this way. Things are the way they are because people make the decisions to jump on the bandwagon and be like everybody else, and they're not individual. You're not an individual if you're on the bandwagon. You're not. I'm not an individual if I'm on the bandwagon. The bandwagon of life is that you create and manifest, create the frequencies to put you in the right state of mind. But not everybody will do this because not everybody's capable of doing it. And not everybody wants to take the time to do it because it takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of gumph to get out there and do something that others are not willing to do. Don't blame the people who are doing stuff and making things happen in the world, or you wish it would have done this way, or you should have done. And you have the blueprint in front of you. If you want to change, you want to make it different, then make it different. Create it, make it completely different. If you think that doesn't work that way, then you go and take the action, do the work, put the effort and time into it like these people do. We see and we watch, and everybody wants a free lunch. Everybody wants everything easy. A scammer calls you, says you can double your money, and you give him his money, and you get your money's taken. Why? Because you want a free lunch. You're not willing to do the research. Excuse me. You're not willing to hang up on the phone when someone's calling you for the wrong reasons. We're the only creature on this planet that charges other creatures like ourselves, other human beings, rent, electric, gas bill. And all these things are available for humanity. And then we wonder we have problems. Because is there such thing as a utopian society? I don't know. I've never witnessed one. I've never been in one. Can there be one? I don't know. I know they've done tests with rats, creating utopian societies, and eventually that collapses over just little stuff. But we're the only species that manipulates the other species, the other ones in our species, our human species, to benefit another. Beaver makes his den, right? Bear has his cave. The ants have their mounds. They don't ask anybody for permission. They just do it. The human beings, we're destructive. We're loving. We're caring. We're conflicted. Our feelings and our emotions get the best of us. We blame others when things don't work out. We blame this guy or that gal, for things that don't work out. But we won't necessarily look at ourselves sometimes and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I should manifest better. You have exactly what you have in your life because that's as far as you want to go. That's as far as you're able to take yourself. And some of us will reach out to other people and say, hey, I want to go further. And some of us who want to go further are not willing to reach out because we want to be self-made. But I'll tell you, everybody who's made in this world has connected with other human beings to go further. And some have used others to make that connection, to make themselves stronger and better. Yes, I'm not going to lie about that. But you and I are exactly where we need to be, and we're exactly where we're going to be unless we step out of our comfort zone and step out of the situations and feelings and emotions and the belief systems that we're creating. In order for us to expand, we have to be expandable and be willing to expand in our feelings in our head, heart, our gut, our mouth, our ears. We have 2 ears, like they say, to listen, 1 to talk. These are valid points. But you, me, yeah, you may say, oh, I'm a great manifester. I could create all this stuff, but then I can't pay my bills. Why can't I pay my bills? Why can't you make more money? Why can't you create something? Some of you are happy just being employees, and I get that. And that's okay. I'm not here to bash anybody on that. But those of you who are like really, want to be the entrepreneur or, the creator, the manifester, there's no, even if you are a self-entrepreneur, just a person by yourself and can create stuff, you're only going to create so much. you're limited. You have to expand beyond where you are. And you have to take risks, and you have to say, I did it 10 times and it failed. Most of these billionaires, they have failing businesses because that's common. Shoot, man, I've had businesses that failed. Does that make me a failure? Does it? No. I don't know what the heck's going on here. All right. I think it's just, no, it doesn't make me a failure. No, absolutely not. It does not make me a failure. I'll tell you why it doesn't make me a failure. It makes me know what I can't, in which directions I can focus my energy. You know, I had restaurants. I've had landscaping companies. I've had a travel agency. I had a jean company. We sold old jeans. Did they fail because I failed to plan? I probably, yes, maybe. Maybe I'm just a good idea person. But it's time, those when you can reflect back and go, okay, I'm either going to reflect back and see what happened, or I'm going to move forward and see if I can do something better. I think a little bit of both is good in business. You know, those of you who are in the metaphysical community, all of you who do holistic work, you know, one of the reasons your business doesn't strive and doesn't do well is because there's a part of you that doesn't believe that taking money is a good exchange of some sort for some reason. You're in business to sustain yourself. Yeah, you're here to help people heal and help people find their way and do better. But you deserve to be paid for your time and effort. Time and effort for all the time you put in to learn your craft. It's like a blacksmith. You know, they take their time to learn, you know, all the metals and how to melt it and how to tamper the steel. And then he expects or she expects to be paid at the end or a deposit. And those of you who mooch off healers, unless the healer says, hey, it's on me, don't worry about it. There's a lot of moochers out there, man. There's a lot of people out there who ask for a lot of stuff and don't understand that you're taking time off someone's healing. Oh, can you give me a read? That'd be so great. They give you a read, and then you're like, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. Throw them $20, $40, you know, insight. Nobody else is going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this because it really bothers me. It happens to me and it happens to a lot of people. I see people, good people, who put a lot of time and effort into what they do. And there's a basket on the damn thing for a donation. And they leave you $1. And if they didn't get anything out of it, that's on them. If that's all they can give, that's fine. But I'm going to say something. There are so many good people out there who do a lot of good work. And they get frustrated and they quit doing the work because they go, I can't make a living off of it. I have to go back to the 9 to 5. Because somewhere, someone taught somebody that if you give money, this is free. This is from the universe. The universe says, I have to give you, you know what? You get depleted. You get sick. You will not, there has to be an energy exchange. If you want to give them a chicken and they want a chicken, give them a damn chicken. With all those you, I'm calling you guys out because you know what? I know some of you guys. And I've known some of you guys out there who have done this to other people, have done it to me. Very disrespectful. Is when we do ceremony or we help lay hands on you, or if we do Reiki, unless I say, don't worry about it, then that's on me. But if you know that you're taking someone's time and maybe not even in the moment where they even have time for you, you're just requesting something. Be grateful. Be in gratitude that human being exists to help you. Because certain people can only help certain people, I find. Because they have the right connection in their energy. Not all healers and not all potential clients can come and be healed. Because they're not in connection. When I do my work and we're not in resonance, I'll find somebody that can. And this is number 2, why your business fails. Number two is because you have to make a decision who's going to be your friend and who's going to be your client. Did you hear that? How many times do you go out and drink wine with your doctor? Some of you do, but the majority. I've never gone and had a lemonade or anything with my doctor. He's like, how you doing? Good. What's new? I have 2 kids. Okay, cool. Me too. Blah, blah. I wrote a book. Oh, yeah, really? What's about it? It's about shamanism. Oh, really? I didn't know. And that's it. How you feeling today? Let me check your heart. Let me check. I never have an interaction with my doctor, but you know what? You know what he does? He goes on his laptop, puts in all the information, and so does the nurse that came before that. And then he bills you. And he bills your insurance company. What? Something that should have cost $250, they charge $5 or more. And they send it to the insurance company. And they're like, we'll pay this much. Your copay is this much. Blah, blah, blah. Isn't that what happens when you go to the doctor? You pay him, right? Or her. They're there to help you. They're there to help figure out your diagnosis and help you heal or find a way and put you on something that will help you. And then you get a bill and there's a breakdown. Oh, it was $900. You have to pay $220 that insurance didn't cover. You have to pay your doctor. So who wins? They win, right? But my point is this. This is my point. There are people out there who do this work, and a lot of people are mooching off of them. If you want to do a trade with another healer, then that's fine. That's cool. But if you have sessions with a healer, pay them. Make sure they're compensated. These people worked a lot to get where they need to be. Help them so they can continue helping you, helping others. Because my people, the people that do the work we do, we get totally ignored. We get totally like, you want to give a discount? That's cool. No problem, healers. But those of you who just like to mooch off other people or say, oh, because Spirit told me, Spirit said they will take care of me. Sure, Spirit will take care of you. Spirit's saying too, you need to send them a bill, You need to send them a bill because, if you don't, they're just going to keep doing the same thing they do. They're going to expect you to do it all the time. And then what happens? You become resentful. You become frustrated. You're like, oh, this guy's annoying. This guy's like, every time I see him, or she wants just a free reading and she wants me to read him or hear an ancestor. Now, on the other spectrum of this is healers who, just give out information, just bombard you. Oh, I have a message for me from your great aunt. And you're going, well, I don't want a message from our great aunt. She was really abusive to me. I don't really want to talk to her right now. This isn't the right place. But there are healers like that. And those kind of healers are really annoying. Why are they annoying? Because they don't ask permission. They just kind of bump. They just like, yeah. Like I'm not walking down the street and a doctor who's driving down the street. Hey, buddy, I got to tell you something. I noticed that your walk is off. I noticed that. And you're like, what? I can tell that you probably have, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I didn't really ask you for this. Why are you even coming? You got to put in perspective. We don't put in perspective. Put in perspective. And healers, be honest. And be truthful to the people. There's some healers out there that are very questionable in their practice and the work they do. Some people just like to take people's money. Don't think that doesn't happen. It does happen. But you know what? The karma repercussions of cause and effect are huge on that. Because if someone dies, if something happens to someone gets hurt, it's on you. So I always encourage healers. Healers, if you can do the work, do it. If you can't, defer to somebody else. Because that's good policy, that's good medicine. Because when you do that, more things come to you. Try not to be the fix-it-all guy. It's like certain doctors, right? One's a foot doctor, one's a heart doctor, there's a general practice doctor, there's a baby doctor, there's a gynecologist. They all have their specialties. And just like the holistic world, just like the metaphysical world, we have our specialists. We have people who work on these little things, but there are doctors who have a little bit more, cascade of things, that knowledge that they share. Just like our healers, we have that too. You may know different modalities and different things. But when you're stuck and you're stumped and you know you can't help somebody, be honest. This is a little above my pay grade. I'm going to introduce you to this person. Spirit has a way of leading us to the right people. That's what I look at. Follow the smoke, and those people will appear. Anyway, guys, just ask yourself, where are you going to be in the next 5 years? What were the last 5 years like? If it was wonderful, great. Not. I'm just talking about 5 years. I'm not talking about 20. I'm 58. I hope I'm able to live more lives. I'm working on that. But I have to take care of me first. My body, my spirit, my soul, my mind, my heart. All the things that connect me. And it's the same way I ask of you guys too. So with that, I want to say, Ho'oponopono, Matakuyasin. It's good to be here. Irisikwi. Aho. Remember, be in the moment. Be in this time now. Because that's all you truly have. I hope you enjoyed the show today. I hope you got what you needed. I hope you resonated with certain things. I know some things you may not agree with, and that's okay. I'm just here to share feelings and emotions, in the passion, the things that I sense in the work I do, and with the people I work with. With that, I just want to say thank you. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great month. Have a great year. And we'll talk soon. Peace out, guys.